Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Sessa's Corner. Tonight, I have the absolute pleasure of having the honor of being in the home of my dear friend, Sal Mauriello, a legend when it comes to Belleville High School. Graduated Belleville class of 1967, and then, of course, went on to an incredible teaching career in the Belleville school system, 39 years, predominantly at the high school, all at the high school. And, of course, he retired. How many years now, Sal, has it been since you retired?
Going into my sixth.
6-year retirement, but it feels like you never left because you've been subbing there,
Right.
Right along up until, of course, the pandemic situation.
Right.
And here we are. I want to thank you first and foremost for the opportunity to meet with you tonight and to sit and talk with you about a topic, of course, that a mutual love of ours. Classic TV, classic movies, classic entertainment overall, and the good old days. Basically, we can kind of sum it up. And the pleasure of being in this this memorabilia man cave, whatever you want to call it. As far as I'm concerned, we are sitting right here in a museum, and I think as we go through everything, I think everybody that's watching this will agree. And we're starting here, the old-fashioned diner setup here. I mean, I'm telling you, this is the way it used to be. This is the way it used to be, Sal. I mean, this is great.
This is a throwback. I grew up in the 50s, and this was home. I mean, This was where I spent a lot of my youth, and so I wanted to give it a little tribute. And so I put this all together, the signs and the memorabilia, and it's like stepping back in time for me. It brings back some good memories.
And it brings back some memories for me because my father he taught me a lot about he grew up in the 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond, obviously, and he taught me a lot about these old days, and I remember there was a place, and you probably heard of it, and I miss it. I'm so aggravated that it closed, but it was in Montclair, called the Soda Pop Shop, and it was basically themed after the classic diner days and classic TV and classic music and all that. And I used to go there a lot. And I took my wife at the time when we were dating. I took her and my stepdaughter there on a few occasions. I missed that place terribly. I was so sad when I heard it closed.
I'll give you a little tidbit on this. Bobby was the owner of the Soda Pop Shop, and before he opened, he called me because he knew me from my collection and asked me to come in and give him some tips on what to do, how to decorate, his shop. And so we talked, and I gave him some pointers, and some he did, some he didn't do. He put his own spin on it. But yeah, the Soda Pop Shop was a great little place.
I'm telling you, I loved going there. It was just the ambiance. You went there, I think, more for the ambiance than anything else. I mean, everything was great as far as the food and the beverages and old-fashioned style, but the overall ambiance was just phenomenal. Again, I really missed that place. Now, I want to mention about when you were, along the years of your teaching, you worked very closely with the late, great Marilyn McCabe, who was a very dear friend of yours and a very dear friend of mine. Of course, she was a former teacher, mentor, and I had the pleasure, of course, serving in the WBHS program my senior year, 91, 92. And that's when I first got to know you a little bit, when you would come in and you would do that show that you used to do, Days Gone By. I never forgot it to this day. Tell us a little bit about Days Gone By and what was behind it and how long you did it, etc. Tell us all about those days gone by.
At the time, I was teaching English at the high school, but I always had a lure to TV, so I always hung around the studio. And Marilyn, God rest her soul, knew I was a big TV buff and knew I had a sizable collection, and she approached me one day and asked me if I would do a show. She was always trying to innovate with new programming on WBHS. So I asked her, what could I possibly do? And she said, well, show an old show and discuss it, give some history, some background on it. So I told her I would do it, and I named it Days Gone By, and I was on for about 10 years, maybe longer. And I got a kick out of doing it. I think the kids got a kick out of doing it. and I know Marilyn enjoyed it. So that's how Days Gone By started.
I remember you used to film a few episodes of the show during the period of the day when I had the class, and it was like the middle of the day, if I remember correctly. And I used to love being a part of that production, helping to put that together. And me having been a TV buff at the time, always really since I was a little kid, and to this day it's just grown and grown. I immediately appreciated the significance of what you were doing. It was right up my alley.
Yeah.
And and I remember just like I said, that's when we started to get to know each other, and I've never forgotten that experience. And fortunately we've developed a great friendship over the years since that point, and here we are together this evening. And I tell you, your show was phenomenal, and I miss it, needless to say. And
thank you.
Tonight we get a chance to kind of reminisce a little bit about it, as well as everything behind it. And and I'll tell you, we could talk about Days Gone By all night, needless to say. But where you used to highlight an old TV show, and one of the things I wanted to ask you, I know this is a loaded question, but before you give me this grand tour, and I can't wait for us to examine this museum that you have here, and I guess I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but if you had to say what your 5 favorite shows of all time.
My 5 favorite shows. Okay. Well, actually, I like all genres, but I lean more heavily toward situational comedies. I love comedies. I like to laugh. There's too much worry and pain in the world, so any opportunity I get to smile, I would prefer that. But I put together a little something, knowing Anthony was going to ask me on the spot. So I put together my 5 greatest sitcoms. Now, I'm sure some people are not going to agree and may not even heard of some of these shows, but I'll give you a quick introduction. All right, number 5 is this show called Margie, which probably nobody has heard about. It was based on a 1940s movie. It starred Cynthia Pepper. It was on ABC. Only lasted a season. It was basically the Patty Duke show set in the 1920s. Okay, and the reason why it didn't do too well is because it was up against NBC had a powerhouse show called Hazel, and Hazel killed it in the ratings.
Yes.
And so Margie had a very short 1-year life. Another show that my number 4 show, and a lot of people don't remember this show at all, The Governor and JJ, 1969, with Dan Daly and Miss Julie Summers. It was basically a fun show. It was about a widower who was a congressman. Since he was a widower, he didn't have a first lady, so he let his daughter fill that role. It was 1969. She was idealist. You know what the 60s were like. And they clashed and butted heads over political ideas. So it only lasted 1 season. It came along too early. All right? An adult show. My number 3 show, Part 54, Where Are You? Not the movie, but the TV show. Okay, quick spin on this show. It lasted 2 years. It was very popular. Nat Hiken created it. And the reason why it went off after 2 years, even though it was still in the top 20, is because NBC wanted to put a laugh track on it. And Nat Hiken detested laugh tracks, forced or canned laughter. So Nat Hiken himself, canceled the show. But it worked out for the best because, as everybody knows, Fred Gwynne went right into the Munsters, and Al Lewis was also on the show as Officer Schnauzer. He went into the Grandpa Munster. So it worked out for the best. My number 2 show, very quickly, is Sergeant Bilko, You'll Never Get Rich, the Phil Silver Show, however you want to call it. Lasted 4 years from 55 to 59. Won 3 Primetime Emmy Awards as the best comedy. The movie with Steve Martin, I love Steve Martin, but the movie was atrocious. You ever get a chance, watch this shyster at work. Bilko is phenomenal. It was a hysterical show. And my number 1 show, I think most people might agree, I Love Lucy. I could talk about this show forever. But what is there to be said about Lucy that you don't already know? It was it was a phenomenal show. It was the first show in which a woman took charge of things. First woman to wear pants on TV. She defied her husband. That was unheard of in the 1950s. And a lot of housewives in the 50s lived vicariously through Lucille Ball's character. So this is my #1 show. And I think to this day, even though the show ran from 1951 to 1957, this show is still being shown somewhere in the world. Everybody knows Lucy. So that's my top 5.
Wow, that's very impressive. I have to say, those first couple, and I consider myself a classic TV buff as well. And those first couple that you mentioned there, the Margie and the Governor, and
JJ.
Never. I'd be honest, I never heard of those.
Yeah, well, they had a short run, and because they had a short run, they never went into syndication, so they were never repeated.
Yeah.
And since they were such forgotten shows, they'll probably never be released on DVD. Sadly.
That's a shame. I would love to, to watch them somehow, and if they were ever available somehow. Just, you got my curiosity piqued, to say the least. And and I too share your love for I Love Lucy. I mean, when I was in preparation for our meeting tonight and everything, I was trying to narrow down favorite shows as well, to kind of compare and everything. I tell you, I couldn't, it was so hard to try to narrow it down, because there have been so many over the years, but I mean, I'll just briefly tell you a few of my favorites. And The Honeymooners is without question. I'm not going to go in any particular order, but The Honeymooners, of course. I remember, growing up in the 80s and 90s, when The Honeymooners and The Odd Couple was another favorite, was in syndication on WPIX. I always say to this day, the best hour of comedy on TV ever was Channel 11, The Odd Couple at 11 o'clock, followed by The Honeymooners at 11:30. You'd be hard pressed, in my opinion, to find a better hour of great vintage comedy, of that magnitude ever in the history of television, if you ask me. And I mean,
they were great shows. Both of them were great shows.
And thanks to channels that exist today, like MeTV, Antenna TV, Cozy TV, of course, TV Land, we get to still see a lot of the shows. Yeah. A lot of the other ones that are some of my favorites, like the Brady Bunch and Happy Days, which MeTV has just started to show now as part of its weeknight summer schedule. It's on, I think, every night at around 7. I'm now DVRing it just so I can, go back and rekindle, those great memories. And, Three's Company comes to mind. You mentioned Hazel. I know that's on MeTV. I periodically, I work from home a lot, so sometimes I have MeTV on in the background, so I just let it run, and whatever's on. Of course, let's not forget MASH is a classic.
Oh, yeah.
All in the Family, The Jeffersons, and we can go on and on.
Oh yeah, forever.
But it's there's nothing like classic TV. It's given us so many great memories, and because they're still running in syndication and we can find them, we can relive those memories and in a sense create new memories when watching it with your children who never saw it before, with other friends or family who may never have seen it, or whatever the case may be. It's almost like you're reminiscing and creating new memories at the same time, because they're not going to see anything of that type of greatness today. Let's face it.
Yeah. TV has changed.
It's changed dramatically. But I tell you, I can't wait to really get a good look-see of what you have put together down here. You promised me the grand tour, and I tell you, without any further ado, Sal, I am so anxious. I feel like a kid on Christmas morning. Please take it away, lead the way, and please let's really take a look at this beautiful museum that you have created here. You lead the way, Sal.
Well, if you want to step through these accordion doors, this is where I do most of my viewing.
Oh my goodness!
This is my.
You're gonna have a hard time getting me out of here. I'm gonna tell you right now.
This is my TV room where I usually sit and watch. Usually, I reserve this for movies, old movies, new movies, sports. But it's very comfortable.
To say the least.
Comfortable.
As well as colorful. I mean, look at the classic things that you have here.
The memorabilia, a lot of the memorabilia. I have, 3 daughters, So, which is why you see so many Audrey Hepburn dolls. My one daughter is a big Audrey Hepburn fan, so she had the whole collection of dolls and whatever.
And of course, you got two of my favorites, Oliver Hardy and Stan Laurel, the late great Laurel and Hardy. As you can see, I dressed for the occasion. With this, I just got this about 4 or 5 months ago. It's the first time I've had the opportunity to really wear it out. And needless to say, I thought it would be highly apropos for this evening. And I'm telling you, I don't know how your wife gets you out of this room. This is
my sanctuary. I have to admit,
with a capital
S. My sanctuary. I often find myself coming down here and just getting lost.
I could see that. It's going to be hard to get me out of here today. I'm going to say that again. I see the Betty Boop memorabilia. My mother and my aunts, they're diehard Betty Boop fanatics, and they're going to love to see this. This is just incredible. What you've put together here, Sal, is just absolutely remarkable. It's right up my alley. I can tell you that.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
Come on, absolutely. Yeah, please do. Yes. Yeah, by all means, lead the way. I'm telling you, I'm having a ball.
This is one of my bookshelves. And again, I'm into a lot of bobbleheads, if they're TV related. So I usually have a nice collection of those, my dolls. My son, I was brought up on wrestling, and I instilled that into my son as well. He started to collect all the figures when Hasbro came out with them. And I have tons of these, but I put a few on display, reminiscent of my son. My TV guide covers, I'm a big TV guide collector. I have just about every TV guide, with the exception of number 1, which I'm trying to find desperately, the one with Lucille Ball's baby on the cover. That one's eluded me forever. But I have just about every TV guide, the New York edition. Some games, I have more games.
Classics.
I can't display all of them, so I just have a handful there. Again, I have some Audrey Hepburn dolls down on the bottom.
This is remarkable. This is just one shelf we're looking at here. Honeymooners and Gilligan's Island. Of course, I'm a diehard pro wrestling fan also. Abbott and Costello. This is...
It's my stamp collection. Some of my stamp collection. When the post office came out with special stamps, if it was related to TV or film, then I was
you snatched it right up.
I was buying it as soon as it came out. Again, more dolls and my shrine to the Little Rascals, who I grew up adoring, and the only gang I ever wanted to belong to was the Little Rascals.
Only gang anybody should ever want to belong to, if you ask me.
And again, more dolls on the bottom. My Marilyn Monroe. My Archie dolls, and then up above,
more I Love Lucy.
My I Love Lucy, a small sample of my collection of Lucy, and my little in the middle there. I was a big Popeye fan as a kid.
Me too.
So
me too.
Anything collectible with Popeye, I usually snatch as well. And my Hercules and Xena, that's about as sci-fi as I get. Okay, I really like those shows.
Unbelievable, Sal. Unbelievable.
I want to slide over a little bit, and again, more dolls.
Look at this.
Okay.
A little bit of everything.
They're kind of self-explanatory. Most of them all from TV. And a few of these Western figurines I actually got from Spain. They were never made in this country. And Wyatt Earp, Davy Crockett, Wild Bill Hickok, and George Armstrong Custer.
Oh, my word. And of course, we had the King represented, Elvis, and this is I'm in awe. I'm the Three Stooges over here. What an incredible shelf this would. The Bewitched memorabilia, more Abbott and Costello. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it took me a while to get everything, but little by little. I've been collecting for God knows how long.
Well, your efforts definitely paid off, Sal, to say the least. This is just remarkable what you have.
Well, I'll tell you, Anthony, when my wife and I were looking for a home and we came to this house for the first time, she went to look at the kitchen and I said, I want to look at the basement. Because I knew where I was going to be spending my time.
You had a vision.
I needed a place for my memorabilia. A small sample of my comic book collection. These go back to mostly the 60s. My #1 Soupy Sales comic.
Oh my
I grew up
goodness.
with him in the 60s. And, you know, just odds and ends.
The Laurel and Hardy comic books over there, I see.
Yeah, I was a big, like I said, I like comedy. Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, Three Stooges were always my go-to.
How could they not be, right? I mean, you know, the magic that they all had, the chemistry that they all had, and what they gave us, you know, it's comedy that can never be matched.
Yeah, it's timeless comedy.
Absolutely.
It's timeless. And then, you know, just looking around, I just have other posters and my Abbott and Costello videotapes. I still have videotapes because I don't have the heart to throw them away.
No, and nor
just
should you. Nor should
Just
you.
for the jackets alone. So I keep them. And of course, this
WBHS, there you go.
this
Look at,
is the day I retired.
look at that. Listen, that is
I
priceless
had
right there.
all the teachers sign,
Oh,
and that's very special to me.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. I had some great times in VHS. Okay.
This is, Sal, I tell you, this is just remarkable. Like I said, and I'm going to sound redundant, I don't mean to, but this is without question a museum.
Yeah.
It is an absolute museum. And I tell you, I mean, you know, my wife ever kicks me out, I know where I'm going.
You come here.
I'm telling you right now. So, you know,
Yeah, like I said, I have a large comic book collection as well, but mostly I have, like I said, Three Stooges. I have every single Three Stooges comic.
my goodness.
And on the same line, I was a big Abbott and Costello fan, and this collection took me a while, because these books are from the 50s, but I have every single Abbott and Costello comic as well. They go way back, and then the Charlton comics came out in the 70s.
Oh my goodness.
So, but the artwork is so different compared to.
I like the way
old
you have
stuff.
everything, you know, in plastic. You have everything, well, you know, well kept, protected, and,
To preserve it,
you know,
yeah.
to preserve it. I mean, that, you know, I mean, this is just, it's incredible. Like I said, it's a museum, without question. It's, you know, and now, you know, we look at the bar here. This is old-fashioned popcorn machine and the old classic bazooka gum here. And we got to take a look at this over here. We talk about the good old days. I mean, now these were the days here, okay, where, you know, sausage sandwich, 10 cents, 5 cents for a hot dog, 5 cents chili.
Try and get those prices today.
I mean, you know, this is what it, you know, this is what it's all about. I mean, this is incredible. You know, I mean, this is the way it used to be. Coffee 5 cents. I mean, you know, my father would always used to tell me stories, God rest his soul, about how things used to be, you know, the prices back then, and it's like, you know, you find it so hard to believe when you know, when you see the prices of today. I mean, it's like you can't even fathom that things were ever this low. You know.
At one time, $1 was a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. $1 took, you know, you were flying high if you had $1, and, you know. I mean, this is just incredible. And the Three Stooges, the beer bottles. I mean, you pretty much, you name it, you got it all. I mean, I'm looking at the wall up here. Connie Selica. I remember the show Hotel that she used to star in. Used to go on after Dynasty on Wednesday nights on ABC, because we were big watchers of Dynasty. I mean, Wednesday was Dynasty, Thursday night Knots Landing, and of course Friday night, the best primetime drama in the history of television, in my opinion, of course, the late great Larry Hagman in Dallas.
Oh, Dallas.
You know, and I mean, just incredible, Sal. Just absolutely incredible. I tell you, I can't thank you enough for giving me the opportunity to, to come down here. We're in holy ground here. I feel, you know, this is like a Hall of Fame here. This is a Hall of Fame here, and I tell you, I cannot thank you enough for this golden opportunity. And I look forward to, we should make some plans and, come over one day. We'll have some lunch together, watch a couple classic
Sounds good to me.
movies. And, definitely, I want to get in one of those nice reclining chairs you got over there. Of course, fair warning, I probably will not get out of it because I'll be so comfortable that, it'll be, but I'm telling you, this is wonderful. And this is an honor. And I thank you so very much. I can't thank you enough.
Oh,
I mean, this is an honor.
Thank you for even thinking of me to incorporate
you kidding
into
me?
your show.
I love classic TV so much. I love classic movies. You see some of my Facebook posts where I talk about some of the movies I watch periodically. I DVR a lot of stuff from TCM. I have a pretty significant DVD collection myself. Nothing compared to what you have. I still have a lot of old VHS stuff. So, I mean, again, nothing compared to what you have, but I mean, I just recently got that Fire Stick thing, for the TV, and I mean, if I live to be 5,000, there's not enough time to really enjoy everything that I can watch and have access to. But you know what? I love knowing that I have that access because, especially during this crazy time that we've been in, thank God for, these old movies, these old shows, and all the memories we can watch and just take our mind off our troubles, laugh, and just keep it going. It helps me. I can tell you that it helps me.
It's good therapy.
You better believe it. And I look forward to us, coming back here and
Yeah, sure.
having some fun. No question about it.
Not a problem.
And Sally, thank you again. I mean, this is an absolute honor, and I look forward to us doing it again. And
Anytime, man.
thank you for your incredible career at Belleville High School. I know you're anxious for when the kids eventually can go back to school and you can resume because you went from retiring right into subbing there, so it's like
Right
you
back.
never
It's like
left.
I never left.
It's like you never left. I know you're looking forward to hopefully going back and when things stabilize and whenever that may be, and hopefully that'll be in the relatively near future. And but most of all, I think we can kind of say it together. We'll never, no matter what happens, we'll never forget
Those
those days gone by. Thank you, Sal.
Thank you, Rant.